Music was my, I think, first identity forming tool that I had. And I understand that the older I get now, because I was a weird teenager. There was so much stuff that was hard for me to figure out. With playing drums and making music, I always felt great. And it always felt beautiful, like a beautiful process. I just try to express myself. The way I try to approach it is this, and it works very well for me, is I take the art of music and of drumming, like the art form, very seriously. But I don't take myself very seriously. Very often, honestly, I understood many inner relationship things, even political things, philosophic things. I understood it in music first, and then I saw it pop up around me. In the beginning, I focused a lot on the vocabulary and about what I was playing. Now I'm more fascinated with like how it sounds and why I do what I do. What's the reason and how does it feel? How does it come out? I try to fill everything I play with the quality of groove so that it feels good, that it has a certain momentum and a certain energy. Usually I try to listen a lot, I try to make it work with the bass line, with whatever goes on energy-wise. So if there is a part that might be higher energy, it's just important to know what does what and to do a lot of listening to yourself and to really find out like, when I do this, it creates that effect. When I do this, it creates that effect. And I think that's the problem of drummers sometimes, that we think, oh, when I do this, there's a lot of energy going on. But it feels like that to the player, but maybe it doesn't sound like that. I have two musicians that are amazing improvisers, amazing groove players, and understand composition and form and time, and they surprise me. They have crazy ideas, and it's just a joy to have this living, moving thing like on tour every day, and it's wonderful. It took me many years to put together a team like this, and this is my dream team now. I have my favorite engineer with me, Sven Peeks, who's a good friend and an incredible engineer, so we sound great. When my hands are not warm or I don't feel like technically on my toes that day, if I'm creative enough and focused enough, it will be music, and it will be like usually make sense and be beautiful, and I'll have solutions that make everything work. But I had nights, and that was very curious to me in the beginning, I had nights where my hands were super warmed up. I played on a pad, I could play stuff at lightning speeds, and it felt wonderful. But the gig was so bad, and my head was all over the place, and I didn't really listen. And so for me, warming up with my head is now more important than warming up with my hands. In the beginning, I wanted everything to be perfect and everything to be as planned, and now I let more things happen, and actually I begin to see the beauty in that, and I'm very grateful for that. You can't really tell what will happen in the next couple of bars, and I enjoy that now. Perfection doesn't exist for me anymore. I don't strive for it. I don't find it attractive anymore. I strive for clarity. Having good technique is having the ability to express something, but then you have to have something to say. So, and I'd rather work on having something to say and my technique is good enough than having perfect technique and my head and my heart is empty. Now I get more and more to the point where I don't have to think. So, and I've read a lot about this in the last couple of years. Some people call it flow, like in meditation, many people talk about that stuff. So I think it's a state where there is no strategizing and no overthinking, but stuff just happens, and it's an incredible moment when that happens, and and when that happens a lot or exclusively through the whole night, it's heaven. And I think that's very addictive, and I think every musician, certainly every musician here in the band, but I think many musicians spend their lifetime chasing that, to have that as often as possible. I want to have that as often as possible, inside and outside of music, but definitely on stage. And when that happens, the audience feels it too, and it's a unique thing, and it's a beautiful feeling. So I think first it's important to have an own aesthetic and to do what you love, and then to see like, okay, how can I put that into music and into a format? And I'm not saying that it then is guaranteed to work, but I'm very happy that and very grateful that it did in my case.
He's got like a really nice big beat to play with. Time's always very, very obvious. Even when he doesn't state the beat, it's sort of, his divisions are very clear, very obvious to play with. He has a great tone on the drums as well. But he's into playing music. He's into melody and harmony, and it's all very musical stuff. It's not like it's not drum specific things. I think that's the thing with Benny, is that the reason people really like his playing, he knows all that stuff inside out. He's a musician first and he's a drummer second.
Music was always a good friend who was always there for me, is always there for me, and explained the world to me. So it means the world to me.